David was the father of quite a few sons. David had many wives and also concubines or mistresses, and they all seemed to produce their own clutch of children. And most of David's children were, to be honest, dead losses. Solomon was one of them. He started off quite well when he became king eventually, but his life kind of became a mess. And in many ways, he learned some of his own foibles from his father. But there was one son who was particularly talented. Yeah, and he started off as quite a good guy, Absalom. Absalom was handsome, we are told, and really quite loyal, very, very talented. Now, Absalom had a sister, Tamar, and Tamar was raped by David's eldest son, Amnon. Now, Amnon should have been the one who should have taken the crown when David died. But if ever there was a dead loss, it was Amnon, and he rapes Tamar. And then, to add insult to injury, David does nothing about it. So no accountability, no consequences for having done such a terrible thing. Absalom is close to Tamar, and he seethes. He watches and sees that there is no reaction from David, and Absalom is furious. He takes Tamar into his home, and slowly Absalom's anger towards his father and Amnon grows into fury. Fury turns into hatred until one day Absalom kills Amnon. But still David does nothing. And this hatred of Absalom for his father turns into rebellion. And David is caught up in this rebellion. It's his son. And deep down he loves his son. But now father and son are at each other's throat. There is a feud. People die. Things go from bad to worse. More and more people understand Absalom's point, and they switch their allegiances from David to Absalom, and he becomes more and more powerful. Really, David's home is a mess. Rivalries, backstabbings, betrayals. But all along, David knows that this is his boy. And whilst they are at loggerheads, he is Absalom, David's sons. So let me ask you quite a painful question. Are we involved in feuds with our children? Feuds where we reach the point we say, I want nothing more to do, or I'm going to write so-and-so out of my will, or I never want to speak to that boy of mine or that daughter of mine. She's insulted me, she's offended me. It's so easy to get into those situations, a sort of a David and Absalom situation. Anyway, one day Absalom and David, or their armies, clash. And tragically, Absalom is killed. And the word comes back to David, and the people who bring the news of Absalom's death think that David is kind of like going to go punching the sky and say, yes, yes, yes. But far from it. In one of the most moving chapters you can hope to read in the Bible, David hears the news that his son, even though they be at loggerheads, his son is dead. And he cries out in an incredibly moving passage. You can read it in 2 Samuel chapter 18. Oh, Absalom. They hear him say, oh, Absalom, my son, my son, my son, Absalom. Oh, that I would have died instead of you, oh, Absalom, my son, my son, my son, Absalom. But it was too late. Now that's a story in the Bible, the Word of God. What does it teach us? It says these feuds are really not worth it. Yes, we may be hurt. We may be wounded. We may have every good reason But at the end of the day, my friends, they are not worth it. And it's time for us to put our pride aside and make a humble approach to whoever it is that we're at loggerheads with, and just say, can't we get things right together? And if the answer is no, at least we will have tried. At least we can stand with a clear heart before God. But to approach, remembering the words of Jesus, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons and daughters of God. It's what God really wants. It's what God really asks of you and me. God be with you.